Do you or someone you love suffer from Egyptomania? Then look no further for help. Today we're going to be looking at some of the more common misconceptions about ancient Egypt. Side note, this is why it isn't a good idea to watch an Egyptian documentary with me. So this video is inspired by a board game that I started playing over summer break, and that board game is Civilization. If you don't know a lot about Civilization, each of the players plays as a country and as a leader from that country. Since Egypt was a world power for such a long time, it makes sense that one of the countries that you can play as is Egypt. And who better to lead the Egyptians into victory than Cleopatra? Now this is a lovely, authentic picture of her, don't you think? First of all, before I took an ancient Egypt class, I didn't realize that there were so many Cleopatras. The one that everybody talks about is actually Cleopatra the 7th. However, she wouldn't have fit the classic image of what we consider a pharaoh to look like. She was Greek. Most of us know that Greece was a world power, so why we can't accept the fact that Cleopatra was a Greek ruling Egypt, I don't really understand. If we wanted to have somebody who was more of our idealized Egyptian ruler, I don't understand why we didn't pick one of the several queens of Egypt that weren't Greek. Next, if you were watching a documentary and this guy pops up, or this guy is more of just an idiot, so, well, that's a whole other story. But this guy, if this guy pops up, turn off the TV and walk away, because the pyramids were not built by aliens. But the aliens people would like to discredit any sort of human involvement. People like to say that the technology that built the pyramids was too advanced for our tiny little human brains. Then why didn't the aliens just come in and like phaser beam down a pyramid, and then all of a sudden we have magical same pyramids all over the... I mean, that's just not how it happened. We start off with the stepped pyramid of Dozier, go to the bent pyramid, and it's all funky with a wonky angle, and then we get the Great Pyramids of Giza. To borrow a phrase that I heard somewhere, there are plenty of things that humans have done throughout history that are really screwed up. But the pyramids are such a great example of ingenuity and engineering. But can we keep that one, please? Please, can we keep the pyramids? The third one I want to talk about is King Tut, the most well-known and glorified of all of the Egyptian kings. While he's seen by us as a bit of a golden boy, get it? Get it? Golden boy, because their masks were gold. No. Tut died when he was a boy of 18 or 19, and he probably only ruled under his own volition for a few years. King Tut is well known because of his discovery and the fact that his tomb was untouched by tomb raiders, which meant it had all sorts of his fancy things all put in it. But that's where the story gets more interesting. A lot of the things inside of King Tut's tomb weren't actually King Tut's. The people of Egypt weren't really expecting their new and young king to just up and die, so nothing was actually prepared for his death. But they couldn't very well just stick their king into the ground with no sort of preparation for the afterlife. So what they did was they went around and they took other kings' items and put it into King Tut's room. Most of the things in King Tut's burial chamber don't actually have King Tut's name on them. It's because of that mishmash of items that makes King Tut's story that much more interesting to researchers. And finally, let's talk about the Rosetta Stone. Many people have an image of this giant black hunk of rock with all sorts of different writing on it. Actually, the Rosetta Stone is pink granite. The reason it's black is because early scholars smeared ink on it to take impressions of the hieroglyphs. Therefore, the Rosetta Stone is black from the ink of early translators. Everybody knows that the Rosetta Stone was a key factor in deciphering hieroglyphs, but do you know what it says? It basically was a note to the Greek king Ptolemy saying thank you for not collecting taxes this year from all of his priests. Except he didn't tell them not to pay their taxes, they just didn't pay them. The king at this point had completely lost control of some parts of the delta, and they just stopped paying their taxes. It's a much more interesting rock once you know what it says. So that makes 4 different ways that now you can be annoying during documentaries. If there's any other type of Egyptomania that you particularly like, comment with it down below. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
I'm gonna briefly attack a skeleton with the clicky button. There's lots of creepers everywhere.
Ready?
God, they're fucking everywhere.
Are you good yet?
I need to